G'day, I'm Grand Omega, and welcome back to Factorio MaraRail. In the last episode, we learnt from our mistakes and actually come in with a plan, and we've made some good progress towards getting enough green science to get railways going. Left off last episode starting to duplicate the iron smelting, and that's the first thing that we'll get to after checking supply levels for everything. Position-wise, that's worked out well, putting it over here, because now we can just get the coal line to duck under and get straight over there. And I can't believe I missed that one belt that was on the end of that. Oh well. So another attack, actually, on the end of the iron mining area. So, and we will do something about them this episode, because I remembered about the turret creep method. I can't believe I forgot about that last time. Oh, well, so a little bit of a longer episode this time, simply because I lost track of time and I didn't set a timer on my phone, and I didn't look at a clock or anything like that. I got so caught up with just wanting to get green science going that I just kept going and thought, oh, bugger it. When I get to that point, that's when I'll stop the episode, whether or not that's the right amount of time. And of course it wasn't, but that doesn't matter. Who's against some more Factorio anyway? Who would be against some more Factorio? Get the words right. So, the standard setup with this, there's probably Actually, I don't think there would be a more efficient setup than this, really. There might be. I don't know. It satisfies our needs for now, so we'll just stick with that. I'll tweak the inserter production as well a few times during the episode, just trying to squeeze out what production I can. Doesn't quite work out how I'd hoped, but oh well. This was never meant to be a quick series anyway. Top up the supplies again. At least now, hopefully, we'll have enough iron to deal with things. At least we've got plenty of red science going for fluid handling at the moment. And I didn't realise that military science, the military research was only required red science as well, so be able to get that done somewhere on the line. We're just balancing out the iron ore belt from the miners, just so that plenty of ore is getting sent to both, and obviously we'll need to bump up the amount of ore, because it's, yeah, sure, it's reaching the ends of the belts plenty, but it's all getting used up as it's reaching the end. Top up, put some more copper in there, grab some more. So far we've been lucky, we haven't had to expand the copper smelting, and I realise there's no lights up by the boilers and all that, so let's change that. Light this place up a bit. Light up the green science as well. And I haven't lit up the copper mining either. Whoops. No way to be on the ball. Oh well. Still going through, checking the resources, making sure everything's got enough. There we go, now that those are built. That should be plenty of light for there. Please let me know if it is or if it isn't. I will increase the amount of lights around the place or work out some other way. As you can see, plenty of pollution is reaching those bases off to the northwest, so we'll deal with them this episode as well. Thankfully, nowhere else is getting as much pollution. There is that single base up to the north, but that's just one base, so don't have to worry about that too much right now, but we'll deal with it eventually. And there's been a couple of bases revealed off to the northeast as well, so we'll have to watch for them. Just working out where the edging of the supply is, and then putting in all the belts. And whoops, I don't know what buttons I hit. But fumble of keys. And then I've realised I've put the belts or the splitter on the wrong side. Oh well. Not the neatest solution, but a solution nonetheless. Trying to work out how to put the power lines, and of course shuffling that just one further up completely cuts off power to everything else. Whoops. My hotkeys, and there's been another attack, but I'm not sure where that come from. I didn't notice while recording, and I didn't see anything on the mini-map just then either, so hopefully that's not going to come back to bite me, literally. Well, realise that power needs to actually be right up against the belt to be able to power both sides. Bit of a pain. I know I don't do it this episode, but I should probably look at getting next lot of power lines fairly quickly. And amazingly, we gained a full inventory of iron for once. And we realised pretty quickly that the power is now not enough. So, back to top that up, or back to actually connect that up so that it works. Grab plenty more iron. There is now quite a lot of ore, but it's not quite getting through fast enough, just simply because one belt's not enough. So I'm sure I got this splitter design wrong in the end, because it's just simply two single splitters that get put side by side, but it works, so can't complain too much. And it's not like it's that ugly to look at either, so might as well feed that through as well. So that is, well, that should be the ore supply sorted, but might as well just throw in another lot of miners just to be on the safe side. Yeah, because there's not quite enough ore anyway. But, oh well. And you notice there the steel smelters had run out of coal, so just top them up. I'll put in a proper, or an automatically fed smelting system for steel at some point. And here we go. Like I said at the end of last episode, I shuffle that over one, just so that it's not just one fast inserter feeding the copper cabling in. Goodness, I'm doing as well as ever. Go back and get enough supplies for a couple of fast inserters and then put them on here, and hopefully, well, the hope is that that'll speed it up just enough, but of course it's not, because the ratios are up the creek. But it's certainly feeding it now twice as fast, literally, as what it was, so. And it's not like the copper cable assemblers, there's another attack. The copper cable assemblers are running flat out. There's no break in between receiving a copper plate from the long arm inserters, so it's a bit hard to speed that up in any way, shape or form. But then again, this just has to last long enough so that we can get the trains going. After that, it doesn't matter. Most of this will probably end up getting scrapped eventually, and we'll just have a bit of a reminder to say this was where we started it all. And again, could leave it up as a bit of a memoriam sort of thing, like here's how we started before we got trains. Yeah, who knows. Let's hear your opinions. Annoyingly, up to this point, I haven't had any views, so haven't had any input as to whether to go with towns or a mega factory. But leaning more towards towns, if I can definitely get views, or at least input rather than just views. Hell, I'm not worried about all of this financially. I just treat YouTube as a bit of a hobby, but I just really need some feedback to see whether my presentation skills are actually improving. So if you're watching this now, awesome. Can I have some feedback? Because, yeah, in my future aspirations are to be a game designer or work in the game design process. But if I'm not very good at presenting ideas, then it's not really going to help me at all now, is it? Because if I've got all these great ideas, but I'm no good at sort of, here's what my idea is, then who's going to listen to me? So here we are, starting to put in a steel smelting array. Realise that need to get coal down here, so I may as well just nick it off the end of the coal belt, since everything seems to be getting well and truly fed with plenty of coal. So that's a nice surprise. Started doing this the same way as all of the other, pardon me, the other smelting arrays, but then realised that because of the amount of iron plates needed, it's better to have them being fed in by fast inserters, and so all of that will be on the one side of the belts. At least the amount of of iron plates coming through is plenty enough to get a number of smelters in before we need to worry about hooking up the other side to anything. And mind you, all of what's here might be enough to at least keep us going in the short term. So there's 4 smelters, and then eventually I'll just mirror them down so they'll all feed into that one chest there. And hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll be enough iron to keep us going for, well, for the short term until we get mass production sorted out for it. Still topping up supplies, so and of course waiting for things to build. As I said, I remember about the turret creep method of dealing with bases because I sort of hadn't mucked about with starting up a new base in Factorio for quite a while and sort of forgot some of the basics. You don't completely forget them, but eventually. Nope, and here we go. These turrets have run out of ammunition. Of course, use the wrong button instead of repair. Pick that one up. So top them up. Grab that third one now that it's repaired, and we will need to top that one up as well. But we will need to go deal with that group of bases to the northwest. So we'll just get the rest of this dealt with. Grab some more iron. Of course, when don't we need iron? And there we are, that'll feed into that chest. And I'm not sure why I'm just sort of stood here. Must have been distracted again. Oh well. Stock up all the resources again. Swap over inserters to fast inserters, of course. Somewhere along the line, I try another method of speeding up the pardon me, speeding up the copper cable production. But right now, we're doubling up the rest of the steel smelting. Get the words right. There we are, and those turrets should cover all that as well. Probably could have put them a bit further out, but oh well. So now the base is down. The base down to the south is fine. The bases off to the northeast that have been revealed are all fine at the moment. Hopefully, we won't have to deal with them soon. There's another attack, and it looks like they're getting more numerous. So now, or sooner rather than later, would be the best time to deal with them. Top up some more supplies before we head out, because it'll be a little while before returning, and it'd be better if all of this keeps going. Oh, and there we go. The conveyor belts, or transport belts, have now finished. So we have enough of them to be able to get all of the green science done for trains, for engines, for tracks, for signalling, all of that. So plonk them in place, then put in another chest with a limit on it, just so that if we need belts we can just go back to that and grab them, rather than making them all on hand. And that's the hopes. Hopefully that's what we can do sooner rather than later with the inserters. I'll remember the words eventually. So with all that said and done, it's time to go off and deal with the biters. Now it's interesting listening to all this on faster speed, because that is deafening, and all of the bases make a nice little pop at the end. There we go, fluid handling is finished, and since we can't do iron furnaces, or steel furnaces, might as well get military going for the machine gun. That little pop at the end. Now just steadily creep the turrets further and further forwards. Good grief, that's deafening. Last base for this cluster, and there it goes. Might as well deal with this little one as well since it's here, and that'll start eating pollution soon as well. God, the noise of these turrets on fast is deafening. So please let me know if I got to adjust the audio at all. That last base up the top, I don't know why I leave it since I'm already out here. I should have just gone and finished it off, but oh well. And there's military science. Get walls going. May as well do the last little bits of research that only requires red science while that's all we have. Oh. And immediately in retribution, the turret by the radar station down here got attacked. Steel slowly building up. And of course that retribution didn't work out very well for them, did it? So now that we don't have any stone smelting, and stone will be needed in the future, not just the stone bricks for paving, but also for concreting and rails, I think. Pardon me, I'm pretty sure I got that right. We will need to get some stone mining up and running. So with that done, rather than armor, we'll get some bullet damage done. Got plenty of supplies on us, so now the drills are being made. So with this little deposit, we won't need a ton of stone very quickly, so the whole idea is just 5 of these should do fine. And that way as well, we'll be able to get the last little bits of iron out of this area as well. And it chops down all the wrong trees. I'm pretty sure I didn't have them highlighted either. So, filters in splitters was the greatest idea they've had. Because it makes things like this so much easier. You just put the filter on that, on which way you want iron ore to go so it doesn't end up in your stone, and away it goes. You don't have to worry. And if you just have a big mix of stuff all together, you can just use different splitters to split off the different ores and all that sort of crap. It is beautiful. So we might as well keep a stockpile of stone, so we'll put a inserter and a chest over here. Pardon me. Fast inserter. I don't know why I didn't just empty my inventory of stone right there and then, but oh well. Back over to here to check where the inserters are going, and everything is still running flat out, but not fast enough. And all of that's really just simply because of the words. It's simply because of the circuits. The copper cables not being made fast enough. And for the furnaces we need to get... Hang on, that's an interesting glitch. Did you see that? The splitter was over the top of the underground belt, even though the underground belt should have been in front of it. Either way, I got lost in my own thoughts. So we don't need too much in the way of stone bricks, so we might as well just have a wooden chest and a little setup like this, and that should keep things going for quite a while. Well, that should keep things going. Full stop. Not that much stone coming through, but that'll do. We just need a couple chests worth at this stage, and then we can worry about a lot more at a later date. More copper plates. Trying desperately to speed it up. So throw down another assembler and a bunch of long-armed inserters just to throw them in over the top. Not a very good solution, but oh well, rethink it again in a minute. That was the whole goal, just getting things, or getting the inserters done enough to get some green science going. I don't know why I didn't look at the time by before starting, but oh well. Because this would be roughly the time that we'd be finishing up. But, oh well. So there's still plenty more inserters. And it's a bit hard to make them myself to try and speed things up, because I could be doing or building other things. It sort of slows everything down. And that's the problem. You've got to work out priorities and everything else. Then again, if you play Factorio, you'd know this. Come over to coal. Yes, I said that right the first time. Get rid of those burner mining drills, because we don't need them anymore. And I don't know why I didn't just slap down a chest to get rid of all this extra coal that I got. Or hell, take it over to the furnaces. But, oh well, put a balancer in, and then manually feed it all for some stupid reason. I don't know why I do this. It's just taking up time. Oh, now the splitter's done, throw that in, and instead of just putting it in the furnaces, I just fill it up here. I don't know. I must have been thinking at this point, just sort of, whatever. That's still wearing away. All the long arm inserters flailing around frantically. So where are we up to? Here we go. So now I plan to, or was going to, start working out a little assembler to put together engines as soon as we research them. But the biters from the north had managed to hit the turret down by the radar at the iron mining. I'll get the words eventually. Now, of course, I've come running up wondering, why can't I shoot? And then realise that, oh, I didn't hit tab to change weapon. Silly me. And the satisfying little pop at the end. So with all the biters dealt with for now, hopefully we'll get a moment of peace. Up until the point that we start spitting out more pollution than the area can contain. So, more copper cabling. It's still not enough. Restock all the supplies again. Spoiler, we do end up getting enough inserters by the end of the episode to get things started. Or to get the green science started, but it's just a case of getting to that point. Of course, instead of adding to it manually, I just keep trying to adjust the system, tweak it a bit more, tweak it a bit more, tweak it a bit more. Silly, silly idea. Hell, I could have just doubled that little factory. That would have been fine. Would have sped things up a bit. But, oh well, hindsight. So, rather than what I was trying to do originally for everything else, with keeping things sort of minimalistic and avoiding the use of belts and stuff like that for the transport belts, or for the conveyor belts actually. This time, not going to fumble about with that, not going to make that mistake. So conveyor belts it is. So we've got the gears and pipes. Both of those only need iron, so that's what will go in that chest there. All of that will feed straight out onto those belts, and then we can feed that into another assembler along with iron to get the engines. Because then that's just simply 2 lots of resources to stick into 2 different spots. And we don't have to worry about balancing or anything else like that. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. That's always sort of the mentality of Factorio, if you wing it, is just hopefully things will work out. This mess of power cables. Ugh. Eventually we'll get to oh, I've lost the word for it. The power things that supply a large area without needing all the poles. So it's somewhere around here, maybe not now. But I do adjust the layout of the copper cable assemblers again. Slowly inching closer and closer to the end of the episode. Yeah, here we go. Shuffle them over, pull all that up. And so we shuffle those over slightly, bring that closer, put 2 chests that will have the copper plates in them, and then between all of them, they'll feed the assemblers. So it just looks a bit neater. And of course it will feed everything as fast as possible as well. Get some more copper, because of course I've run out of parts. Now I was going to completely put the assembler edges full of fast inserters, but 2 fast inserters is actually enough. And so now of course with all of that, it's the once again the gears that are slowing down the inserters. As you can see over here, it's got plenty of iron that's going through to the steel production, so don't have to worry about that at the moment either. Once again, go through, stock up all the supplies. More copper. And in fact, we might have to increase copper production or copper smelting in the near future if things keep going like this. So there we go. Check the how many engines are needed per locomotive, and it's 20. So rather than just 1 stack, might as well get the 2, because I think engines only stack into 50s. In which case, if we've got 100 engines, then that'll be 5 engines. 5 locomotives. Throw in another inserter, so now there's twice as much iron plates getting thrown into the gear assembler. It's making just enough difference. With all the biter attacks dealt with, it's now rather peaceful. But we've now finally got a full chest worth of inserters, so we might as well put them over so that we can get that started up sooner rather than later. Swap that chest over, because then once this other steel chest gets filled up, we can get that going as well. So need some more resources, just enough to get enough fast inserters, hook them all up to the green science assemblers, and then we will be, well, one step closer one step closer to a railway. Just limit that rather than having a stupid amounts of green science. There's the first couple on the belt, so with that succeeded, it's time to finish up. So the obligatory, or the necessary I should say, checking of resources, making sure everything's got enough to keep going, and then we will finish up the episode. So thank you for watching. I know it's been a bit of a long one, but thank you for sticking with it. Hope you'll join me for the next one, which won't be as long. Catch you.